start off by introducing yourself, and could you please let people know the legacy of Brand Nubian and what y'all brought to the hip hop culture?
All right. Well, first off, my name is Sadat X, one fourth member of the Brand Nubian Brothers. That's myself, Lord Jamal Grand Poobah, and DJ Alamo. Um, been in the game for 30 plus years. Brought up under Grand Poobah, Bronx born, raised in New Rochelle. Um, Four-man team, and originally, me and Jamal, we started off as solo artists. We were in New Rochelle, and Grand Poobah, he was already in another group called Masters of Ceremony. And he had a well-known name. He was known in the town. He was known in the early hip-hop circles. And he started doing some work with myself and Lord Jamal, and brought us into the fold. And at first, we would just go to the studio, and he was producing me and Jamal. Jamal do like 4 hours in the studio. I do 4 hours in the studio. And we came together on a track that was done by Jazzy J, original Jazzy J, Zulu Nation, one of our pioneers. And we put that down, and being that Poobah had the inroads already to hip hop, he took it to some of his people, namely Dante Ross, who at the time I believe was at Tommy Boy, and he was making a transition to Electric Records, brought us into the fold, and we went from there.
Okay, so would you say Brand Nubian was like an A-list rap group during this time, or like how high did y'all get as far as like top groups in the industry?
Well, at the time, hip hop was still kind of, I wouldn't say its infancy, but it was still in its formation stages. So, you had a lot of groups that were out at the time. I think we were just under the cusp of like, what groups was a little bit before us? Maybe like Kane and, that's the Sonic Public Enemy. So we was coming basically on the heels of that. Radio was still new to hip hop. Like I said, the old school was young school then. Like it wasn't, the old school dudes wasn't too old yet. So it was still in a formation stage. And I think we was right around that, what they tend to call the golden age.
Okay. So like moving forward as, y'all began to do different projects, you start doing your solo thing. So can you talk about the transition from going from a group to being a solo artist?
Well, it wasn't really that hard because I had been a solo artist. Like as with a lot of groups, like how they have the stories of they were grinding for like a number of years to get a deal, and they had been working together for years. Like basically how we came about is like I said, we were both solo artists, me and Jamal, and Grand Poobah was coming off the heels of Masters of Ceremony. So he took it downtown. Like we did the song, he took it downtown, and we came into the fold. It wasn't like Brand Nubian had a 5-year back history before coming out. Like basically we had been together about a year and a half, and then all of it just came to formation.
Word. So you think y'all got on so quick by y'all being so talented, or because Grand Poobah was already established in the game?
A combination of both. I think that the message that we had was a little bit different. We were coming on the heels of positivity and stuff. At the time, if you look at the times during this period, it was a time of Black awakening. You had movies like School Days, Do the Right Thing. People were coming into the knowledge of themselves. You had like the positivity, the beads, and people were wearing the dashikis and different stuff, and coming into an age of blackness. There was a lot of things that were going on. It was the Howard Beach incident, the Crown Heights incident in Brooklyn. So it was basically, we came into hip hop at a cultural awakening time, and I think that the message that we had was a little bit different. You had Poor Righteous Teachers, you had Public Enemy, and we were coming off basically off of some of the tenets of the 5% Nation, which was a lot of people didn't really know about that at that time. And I think that the message that we was given was a message of hope and positivity, because also we came off the era of the crack era. You understand? Right. So people were looking for something to hold on to give positivity. I know if you came up in New York, but we came up at you knew somebody that was affected by this epidemic, you know. So we were just coming off of a time like we were trying to awake our brothers, and that's where a lot of times I think that the media masses and people in control were thinking that we didn't like white people. It wasn't a message of hate or anything. It was just that we just had to awaken our brothers first. You understand? We wanted to make this for our brothers to get them awoke. You know, other races and people, they were woke. We had to get our brothers back into the fold because it was a serious time going on.
Right. So basically, we had to put the party in to the side, you know, to offer a positive message that'll give people the understanding that you don't have to be a drug addict or a drug dealer. You could do something else and, you know, really become a productive member in society.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, and like the music, like I said, like we did our fair share. We wanted to partying because that's what encompasses black people. We did our fair share partying and having a good time. We wanted to encompass everything. You know what I'm saying? Because like, you know, in our thing, like the Gods and Nerve Nation, the Gods and Nerves, and then you had the Nation of Islam. We was a little bit different. You know, the Nation of Islam was a little more, I would say, a little more rigid, straightforward, you know, and they were reaching those brothers, but it was an element of the brothers that wanted to, maybe they was in the streets doing what they was doing, hustling, gambling, maybe smoking, but those were still people that we had to reach. And that element we felt at the time had been left out, you know what I'm saying? Because if you was drinking and smoking, you couldn't be in the Nation of Islam. You understand what I'm saying? But these were still positive brothers that, hey, somebody got to reach these brothers, you know what I'm saying? Because they still out here. It's still a large mass percentage of these brothers, and somebody got to reach them, and that's who we wanted to reach.
All right, can we talk about Wild Cowboys?
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorite albums.
All right.
So can you talk about how you put that album together?
Wild Cowboys. If you Google Wild Cowboys, it's gonna come up as that was the name I took, and then I had to learn about that name because Wild Cowboys was the infamous gang in New York City.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you Google that, the Sepulveda brothers, and they had a lot of influence. And when I did take that name, Wild Cowboys, I actually had to meet some of the original Wild Cowboys to get a cosign on that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But Wild Cowboys basically came off the heels of Brand Nubian. We had done the All For One album, and then me and Jamar did a couple of albums. And like I told you previously, being that I was a solo artist, you know, I still wanted to pursue some of my solo stuff. I was living in the Bronx at the time, Fordham Hill, heavily influenced by like one of my great friends, Diamond D. You know, my cousins, you know, my family is originally from the Bronx, so I would go there. That was Concourse Village, Melrose Projects, Jackson Projects, Park Avenue. But then going in that line, you had like Forest Projects, and, you know, you had going on down the line, Webster, you know, so I was greatly influenced. Diamond D was a great friend of mine. He had done some work previously with Brand Nubian, Showbiz and AG, and I just wanted to do something, being that this was a solo project, that encompassed people that I was aligned with. You understand?
Okay.
So I was aligned with Minnesota and Money Boss and Father Time and Showbiz and AG and Buck Wild and Diamond. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to put together P-Rock. I wanted to put together something befitting of that. And, you know, that was probably my most favorite album putting together. You know, the sessions, you know, that was still in the era of actually going to the studio, booking studio time, still having a lot of dudes in the studio. You know, as years go by, that number slims down, but a lot of dudes in the studio. My man Bird used to come, we'd be in the studio making songs. He'd be giving out haircuts and drink smoking girls. So, you know, that album was a vibe. You understand? That Wild Cowboys album was a vibe. If I had to do it again, I wouldn't have put out the Hang 'em High video first. I would have probably put out something else. We did the Stages and Lights, which was done by Showbiz and AG, and the Lump Lump that was produced by Buck. But that first single, instead of Hang 'em High, I might would have put something different, being that, you know, like that single was a little bit of a different vibe, where I think I should have just came out straight on that Bronx vibe and kept it moving from there.
So I gotta ask you, like, what other song you would have put out as that first single?
maybe I might would have put out Escape from New York. That was with D-Dot Baby Pop, or Petty People, or Move On. I might would have put Move On out.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
my favorite song on the album.
that's what I
Move On.
probably would have put out first. Done by Diamond D. That was probably a song. I had a song with Regina Hall called The Interview. She's a big actress now, and we actually lived together for about 8 years in New York. So that was a song I might would have considered. That was from the Beat Miners.
Right. Yeah, that was another dope cut.
Definitely.
So speaking on Move On, like you mentioned on that song, that this solo album was the most serious thing you've done in your life
up until
to that
point.
Right. So how critical was it that this album became successful?
Well, it was critical because like I said, I was taking the leap. I was going out on my own. So and this is still in the era where you had to really rap. You understand? Mm-hmm. You had to be on point. It wasn't kind of like it is now, like how and the times change. So I can't belittle these kids what they're doing now. But in my era, it was a time when you had to actually have lyrics, be able to perform those lyrics, be able to live up to those lyrics. And if somebody went to fact check those lyrics, you had to there had to be some fact behind it. I couldn't say. That's why on the album you never heard me say, yeah, I got 1 million cars or this much drugs or this and that, because you would get fact checked. Whereas nowadays you can actually do that and sometimes get away with it.
A lot of times get away with it.
Yeah, get away with it. This is a different era. I mean, these kids like I said, not to fault them, but they make these songs and they out each other and do this and that, where I feel a lot of time when they do see each other, it forces them into a situation. Either you're going to do something fully or you're not going to do nothing at all. That's what I see a lot of times. I see these kids, they go back and forth over the internet, and then they see each other and they don't do nothing, or they're forced to do something that maybe they didn't want to do. They got to shoot at each other or this or that, and like it's a sad situation, because you got a whole bunch of these kids, man, that's dead or that's locked up for over rap songs. You know what I mean? Over stuff like that. Whereas back in my day, if you had a problem with somebody, y'all just knuckled up. You understand?
Right.
And when you knuckled up with somebody, win or lose, you had to respect that person. You understand? You had to respect them, because this man actually fought me. We didn't have no guns and no knives and nothing. We just squared up. Whereas anybody can pull a gun. A coward can shoot you in the back. You understand? And that's it's nothing gangster about that. And I've been in the jailhouse, and when you get in the jailhouse and they test you, it's nothing gangster about that.
Right. So over the years, you had a lot of collaborations ranging from Biggie Smalls to the Jig Masters, everybody in between. But one collaboration you got that I wanted to ask you about was Static with Kool Keith.
Yeah.
That's one of my all-time favorite rappers. So could you please tell us how that song came about? And I know you got more songs with Kool Keith over the years, but I seen on social media that you had an album.
Yeah, we still, and I got to find out who got those tracks, because those were some main tracks. Like, I still would like to finish them, or at least get what we started out. Kool Keith, actually, Park Ave, Bronx. He was in the same building as my aunts and them. And like my aunts and them, they knew Keith, and like he was Ultramagnetic, one of my all-time favorite groups. Ego Tripping, On Down, Said GTR. All them dudes is like idols of mine, peers and idols. Give them their flowers, So Kool Keith is in my Grail box at MCC. My Grail box is a little bit different, Like a lot of dudes that's in my Grail box are not dudes that you would expect, Like dudes in my Grail: Kool Keith, Kool G Rap, AG. You know what I'm saying? OG, you know what I'm saying? Guilty Simpson, dudes like that. Those are dudes that, make songs that I'd be like, damn, I wish I could have said that. You know what I'm saying? They Master Ace, they keep me on my toes.
Right. That's what's up. So another thing I wanted to ask you was over the years, like around the 2000s, I didn't see Brand Newbie or anything on TV or on the radio, but you still maintain a presence in hip hop? How did you go about doing that?
Well, basically, I maintained the presence specifically because I loved hip hop. You know what I'm saying? A lot of dudes fell out of love with hip hop and they went and did other things, pursued careers and gave up on hip hop. I still loved hip hop, whereas, you know, a lot of stuff I did, regardless of the radio or money or anything, it was just for the love of hip hop. I still loved it. I sincerely love writing lyrics, listening to beats, hearing other dudes on joints. So I maintained specifically, basically, for the love of it. You understand? I still, to this day.
Word, that's what's up. And then another track, another classic collaboration was Games with Big L and Guru. Did that song come before or after Big L's death?
That came after L's death, but ironically, before L's death, you know, like, I remember it was the day, I think it was the day before he got killed or something. And we had did a song, me, him, and Diamond. And I went and I picked him up from uptown and we went out to Diamond's crib in Jersey. And we did the song, and I think he didn't like what he did, and he told Diamond to scrap the vocals or something he did with it, and it never came out like how we wanted it with Diamond. And then he was murdered a day later, you know, which was really, you know, and I happened to be driving by the day he got murdered, you know, so, you know, that was real traumatic, man. And the Game song came out afterwards. That was like when they put the album out for him, you know, posthumous, you know, after death, and I was able to get on that album.
Okay. I also wanted to talk about the Experience and Education album. That album came out at a critical time in my life, and I definitely appreciate that album because it kind of gave me the balance that I needed. Because at that time, you know, I was listening to a lot of Dipset, you know, a lot of G-Unit, things like that. So, could you tell me how that album came about and what did it do for your career at that time?
Well, came at a midpoint, what was that, mid-2000 years? Yeah. Like I said, you know, I was still, you know, still rapping, you know what I'm saying, in a transitional phase. You know, hip hop was going through a changing of the guard, so to speak. You know, that was kind of the end of kind of like the shiny suit era, like all mixed in, and like how you said, Dipset was coming up and different groups, and that was just something to keep my placement intact, you know, to keep me going. Like I said, I'm about education, you know, I'm about reading, about studying, about knowing things, you know. In the era I came up with, like, it was an era of you wanted to know things, you know, you wanted to be smart, whereas, you know, being that I did teach in the school at a certain point also, like, it became an era where it was cool not to know stuff with these kids, like to be dumb, you know. And I was something I would always tell them, like, you know, you can't lead if you can't read. You understand? Right. You can't lead if you can't read. So, you know, the more knowledge you know is the more knowledge you can apply to certain situations and to certain things. And when you don't know anything, that's when they can put you in a box, because they know that you don't know nothing, and they can keep you sedated with what they want to keep you sedated with.
Right, that's real.
Yeah, it's your boy, Aguilar Don Bishop. New album out, Endangered Species Protocol. And right now, we getting the interview live right now on Circle the Block Radio. You already know what it is, Propane Campaign. Let's get it.
Another thing that stood out to me was the White Rapper show on VH1. Can you take a moment and explain what that show was about real quick for those who might not have seen it?
Basically, if I'm remembering back, man, that was a while ago. You know, they had a bunch of rappers living in a crib, trying to get on, and you know, they called me and Jamar to come to him. You know, Jamar was definitely gonna give him the business.
I know,
you know
yeah.
What I'm saying? So that was first and foremost, you know. And I, you know, Search, but we had something to do with that, and
I think it was MC Search's show.
Yeah, it was.
Only episode I watched was the one y'all was on.
Yeah.
You know,
we went on there, and you know, just basically trying to let them know, like, this is a lifestyle, man. This is not something that you come home and put in the closet. You understand?
Right.
You know, this is a lifestyle. It's a culture, and you know, to take this thing seriously, man. It's like, you know, a lot of our pioneers and people that did it, they didn't never get nothing for this, man. And for you to even have a show, man, is a blessing, and we're not gonna let you disrespect what they started.
Right. So do you think this was an attempt by these major networks to kind of open the floodgates for white rappers after the success of Eminem?
Probably. Why wouldn't it be? You understand? Why wouldn't it be? You know, that's the nature of this country, man. You know, I mean, they're gonna definitely, if your back can get stepped on to get to where they want to go to, they're gonna step on your back. I mean, that's been the blueprint of America from the beginning. I mean, from, you know, not just in rap, but in blues music, rock and roll, everything. If they can step on your back to get ahead, they will, and they'll give you a little bit of credit. But I mean, even with rock and roll and blues, it's dudes that they never talk about, man, that started and was there. So I think it was an attempt, definitely by the record companies to, you know, expose it to more things. You know, like traditionally in hip hop, like especially as far as sales and stuff like that, the majority of your sales is gonna come from Midwestern white teenagers.
Right.
You understand? So that's basically, I think, what they was targeting. In the Midwestern, what they call wholesome America. You understand? That's the America that they want represented as America.
Right. So thinking back there when you did the show, did you think today there would be so many white rappers that's successful commercially?
I didn't think so back then, but as it was growing, and as I saw the rise of it and how it was going, I figured that it was going to go to that, because, you know, once they got their hands into the pot, you know, they're gonna try to take the best meat out the pot. They're gonna leave you what they leave you, and they're gonna take the best parts to eat. So I figured that, you know, at some point it would be that.
Okay. So do you think it's possible for rap to be whitewashed, kind of the way jazz and rock and roll might have been whitewashed?
I don't think it could be fully whitewashed now, because it's too many people and it's too many outlets, too many social media outlets. If it wasn't all these social media outlets, I believe it could be whitewashed. You understand? But now, being that we know, and that it's all these social media outlets, I believe that it will never be completely whitewashed, because, you know, we in it now. But they're gonna definitely try to put their place in it as much as possible. You know, like you see artists now, like they throw them in the hip hop category, and you're like, that's not really hip hop, but that's what they throw in the category in different songs. And, you know, so they definitely try to, you know, do that. They got people in place, Rolling Stone magazine, other magazines, these so-called hip hop experts. And like, you're not a hip hop expert. Like,
right,
you know what you know, but you're not a hip hop expert. You understand? Like, experts, you know, you gotta go back. You know, like, maybe you're about an expert of what you know now. You understand? You should phrase it as, I'm an expert for this time, but as an overall hip hop expert, no, you're not.
Right. So now I gotta bring it kind of up to date.
Okay.
Like with the Gods Have Arrived album, you said something on that album that really shocked me, and that was on the track Universal Law. So I want to know, how is it possible for there to be a list of 200 MCs and you not on that list?
Yeah.
So first I gotta ask you, well, what list was that? What publication was it in?
It was the one, I don't know what publication it was in, but I don't know the criteria that was done. I don't know who were the people that decided that. And I figured that I wouldn't be in that, and that's why I didn't get too mad about it. And, you know, I knew, like, I didn't get into this to be into a list, but it's just weird, like, how they had certain people on that list where I just had to laugh and shake my head. But that's these times, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you got people that was born in these times, they're gonna put what they know of these times in it. So it wasn't surprising.
Right. So my question is, why do they only have hip hop lists? Like, have you ever seen a top R&B list, or a top rock and roll list, or a top blues list?
To further try to downgrade it and downplay the presence of hip hop. You know, hip hop is probably the most major musical force nowadays, and just probably to try to suppress it. Try to be like, yo, we can't let these niggas get too big. You understand? We still
Right.
gotta maintain some type of control.
Right. So it's safe to say that these lists could be an attempt to write certain artists out of history.
Oh, definitely, and probably certain as you go, unless you get some real people involved to archive stuff. Probably a lot of hip hop artists that was then will be written out. I'm seeing that now.
Right.
I'm seeing hip hop artists that I came out with that are being written out. Somebody like T. La Rock, a main artist. You understand?
Mhm.
He like slowly but surely they trying to write him out. I'm like, yo, this man was serious with hip hop. Like, I don't understand why he hasn't been given a bigger platform, but it's up to people like myself and other people to archive and to keep that alive and to teach. You understand?
Right.
Like with these kids, like you can't get mad at what they don't know. You got to teach them. Like, sometimes I hear dudes and they're like, yo, you don't know who that is? And I'm like, well, yo, no, they don't know. You got to teach them. Like, what? They're like, shoot, I taught a hip hop class at school where Biggie and Tupac was old school. So no, they wouldn't know about Brand New Beat. And no, they wouldn't know about Bambaataa. And I seen dudes that was always talking about, well, if I taught a hip hop class for middle school, I'm gonna teach from the beginning I'm gonna start at A to Z. No, you're not. You're not gonna start from A to Z because that's the quickest way to lose these kids' attention. You understand? I taught in middle school, and I thought I was gonna go from Sugar Hill to Yo Gotti.
Right.
Nah, it don't work like that, man. Them kids, they don't care about Sugar Hill. You got a spoon. What happens when you got a baby and you feed him too much food? He throws up.
Yeah, exactly.
He throws up. You got to spoon feed a baby. You got to ease it on in. How I ease Bismarck in. Bismarck was on Yo Gabba Gabba. That was a kid's show that my kids knew when I taught middle school. So I threw Bismarck on. I threw the video on Yo Gabba Gabba. Oh, Mr. Murphy, that's the guy from Yo Gabba Gabba. Yeah, it is. But did you know he also rapped? Yeah, he did. You ever heard this song? You know what I need.
Right.
All the kids know that song. They didn't know who sang it. He sang that song, Mr. Murphy. Yeah, he used to rap. Yeah, I just thought he was on Yo Gabba Gabba. That's one way of spoon feeding them in. You can't force feed them. You gotta break it in, and I had to make lesson plans that coincided with these times. You understand?
Right.
The lesson plan that I thought I was gonna make didn't work. And one thing about when you're in the classroom with kids, they know when you're not ready, they know when you're not prepared, and when that happens, it's utter chaos and you've lost the class.
Right. So like with the 50 years of hip hop and them creating these lists, I think they had the top 50 solo artists and they had like the top 50 groups. So is it 50 years of hip hop or is it like just 50 rappers? This is what we leave y'all with, 50 rappers. How do you feel about
Well, it
that?
remains to be seen because I thought it was more than 50 years, but that's the time and the label they wanted to put on it. So that's what it had to stand by. And it was good, that they recognized this 50 years. It'll be interesting to see how a lot of these 50-year artists, because a lot of artists got some love this year. I mean, you had artists that came out for this 50-year anniversary that they literally blew the dust off of, that they brought back out. It'll be interesting to see, will that same love be for 51,
Right.
52? You understand?
Right.
And a lot of dudes got gassed on that. Like I seen a lot of the older dudes, they got gassed on it, and they had a King's year. You still got to get on that drawing board. And in the same sense, if you want to be considered a king, your blade got to stay sharp. You gonna get respect of how you come at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be on stage fumbling and bumbling around and still thinking that you gonna get that king's love. Like, you still got to be moving and working.
Yeah. Another question I wanted to ask you, because I started on The Gods Have Arrived, so I'm gonna kind of go back to that. Like, how did you beat Aguilar?
Oh, I know Ag for years, man. Ag, I remember Ag. I known Ag since he came out with Ghetto Girls. Ag lived uptown for a while, Purple City. And he was always a good dude, always respectful. When I had different projects, when I needed help, as far as he might looping up something for me or doing the chorus for me, he was always a willing participant. And it was just a natural progression of me and him doing something together. You know, it was a great album. You know, I felt good behind it, and we will work again.
Okay, that's what's up. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Definitely.
Okay, yeah. Despite all of the madness that goes on in the mainstream, like you still maintain a strong presence of hip hop. Even to this day, you still doing classic collaborations, and you still doing classic albums. And the album that really stuck out, like once again, was The Science of Life. Yeah, so can you talk about that one? Where can they find that album, and how did you put it together?
Well, it's on all the musical streams. Or wherever you can, Apple Music, those places, wherever you can buy music, Science of Life. And basically that was put, a young brother named Doughboy, what I'm saying, out of LA. He was out here for a while living in Raleigh. He had a mutual respect for me and expressed interest that he was putting together some projects, and he had a platform for me to get some music out, and we collaborated and worked on it. Did songs with Crime Apple, Knowledge, the God Knowledge, I'm Rock Marcy and them. So, it was good for me to go back and connect with those guys and just to keep the pipeline open. You understand? I'm always with doing new music and reinventing myself and rhyming. That's it. When you do something and you want to stay with it, you have to stay sharp with it. You understand? You got to be fully committed to it and to keep doing it. And you could tell a lot of times, especially with the OGs, who's still rhyming, who's doing this, who just put something together right now. You hear it. And I always wanted to get respect as an OG, but I wanted my respect to be for my skills, not just because I was an OG. You understand?
Right.
If I put out an album, I want dudes to like it, or not just be like, well, that's the OG, I'm gonna like it regardless. You know what I mean? I want to stand where I stand.
Right. So, what is it like to have full autonomy over your career, where you can pick and choose when you want to rap and put albums out, versus I don't really, not really feeling that right now, I could do something else?
Well, it's good to have full autonomy, and in doing and having full autonomy, you have to be set up. You understand? You got to be able to have different streams of income, because if you're doing full autonomy and it's just with hip hop, you might not survive with just with hip hop. So you still got to be able to move around and to hustle. You know what I'm saying? That's a hustler gets money however he gets it. The drug dealer can only get money from drugs. Hustlers move and make moves on everything. You understand? So you got to be a real hustler, and you got to see the world's climate and know what's moving. You might hustle on the stock market, or you might be one of them dudes that know how to hustle betting football and games like that. You got to have some sort of hustle.
A question that I always like to ask people, especially someone like yourself that's you said been in the game for 30 years, you've seen it all from A to Z. So is hip hop currently healthy?
Oh man, it's a yin and a yang. It's healthy and it's toxic. It's healthy in the sense that it is stuff out there, but you got to dig for the healthiness. You gotta dig for it and find it. If you want something toxic, if you want the McDonald's of hip hop, that's in your face. The McDonald's is right there. The McDonald's is the women kind of downgrading themselves, and a lot of people be like, well, they did that back in the days too. Yeah, they did that, but they didn't do it to the extent that it's done now, and it's not to the extent that it can get out now. It wasn't no social media like that. Well, if it was social media, well, hey man, that remains to be seen, man. Everything's not gonna be fan like, man. We can argue that all day. I'm talking about what it is. You understand what I'm saying? Life has never been fair. This country has never been fair, so don't hit me in the head with all that. I'm talking about right now, what I see right now. What I see right now is a lot of these girls, they doing that and they making these videos, but I wouldn't want that to be my daughter. And if I was coming up, I wouldn't want to marry them. I might fool around with them. Yeah, I fool around, but at the end of the day, I'm not marrying you. I done seen what you did on screen and this and that. I'm not marrying that. You understand? Regardless of what it is. And, that's just the perception of what it is. And it's not fair, but hey, life ain't fair. If it was all fair, we'd have a picket fence house, a backyard with 30 acres behind it. It is what it is. You just got to dig. These kids going back and forth, man, shooting each other and killing each other over this rap, man. Sometimes I wonder, the thought process, I said, what would make you desecrate a man's grave? What would make you go to this man's grave and pour pee on it or spit on it or desecrate it? Like, is that the drug that you taking, or like, are you just not giving a fuck? Like, you don't care, like, that it may come back to you, or it may. See, I came up in a time, and that's why, like, the thinking that a lot of dudes I came up with, good or bad, like, if we can't get you, we're gonna get somebody you love. We're gonna make you come out. Like, don't think you're gonna have, you wanted to go pee on my man's grave. Well, how about now? We're gonna go burn mama house down. Now you gotta come out. Now when you come out, we're gonna chop you down. See, like, and you know, like, that's the thinking, man. That's these kids, man. They're not thinking, man. Like, I feel bad. They're going back and forth. They're making these songs. You kill him, I kill you. You kill him. And I sincerely believe a lot of them think, like, well, I ain't gonna live but so much long anyway, so I'm gonna just do this. And whenever I get chopped down, I just get chopped down. And you know, that's just, man. I don't know when it's gonna end. I don't know the solution to it. That's why I tell people, listen, take care of yours. You understand? You can't be the Jesus all the time. You're not gonna be able to Jesus everything. Take care of yours and teach yours. And maybe if you take care of yours and teach yours, and they take care of theirs, maybe that'll go wrong. But for you to try to it ain't gonna be done in the way that Martin Luther King and them did it, and free at last, kumbaya, we all come together. Now we ain't all coming together because it's so much. It's been proven we can't never come together like that. That's why I said teach your own. Whenever we do come together for something big or small, what happens? We get into some bullshit. Somebody gets shot at this and that. That's why I say teach your own. Maybe once we start teaching our own, we can all come together.
Right.
You understand?
But it start at home.
Yeah,
first.
it got to start at home, because we ain't at the stage when we can do a mass love yet. We not ready for mass love.
Right, because you got people that try to teach everybody else,
that ain't
but
gonna work.
home
That's not gonna work. You know? I tell people that teach yours, man. Like, all of us, hey, let's get 1,000 people and we're gonna have a love march. In the middle of the love march, somebody gonna wind up getting into an argument. Especially you got 1,000 black people together and we do a love march. It's gonna be at the end, especially if you get to nighttime and people been drinking and smoking, somebody gonna get shot.
Right.
Somebody gonna find a reason why we couldn't have this love march without violence.
Right. Facts. So, how do you balance? You know, you mentioned multiple streams of income and things like that. How do you keep that balance in your life where you can do multiple things? You know, you can tour, you can rap, you know, you can work the 9 to 5 and keep everything, you know.
You have to have a plan. You understand? You have to have a plan. You have to set parameters, and you have to stick to that. I know that if I got a 9 to 5, I know I can't go out every night and drink and smoke, because I got to get up and go to work. You understand? And when I do go to work, I want to master everything at this job so I can move on to the next level. And I know and understand that when I work at this job for 3 or 4 years now, I'm gonna be vested. That means I'm gonna have an income from this job for the rest of my life. And as long as I keep going, I will have some income from this job. And I know that from me being rapping, I know certain places that I can go to. I know about 30 or 40 spots that when I do put something out, I can always go back to Europe and do this. I didn't burn no bridges down. I tell people that don't burn no bridges, especially with these club owners and promoters and stuff like that, because you'll never be able to go back. Perfect example of somebody who knows what they're doing with this Europe thing is Master H. Master H go to Europe about 4 or 5 times a year, big tours, and he go do what he do, and he come back and make another album and do the same thing all over again. He don't bother nobody. He don't be in no controversy. You understand? He just do what he do and keep it going. You understand? And that's the name of the game. At some point, what you want to do, all that like controversy and this and that. You as young bulls, you do that. I was a young bull. I know about that. I know about getting the beef with dudes and wanting to fight and go back and forth. But at a certain point, you got to grow out of that and leave childish. When you become a man, you leave childish things alone. And you think as a man. When you get a family, you got to think as a man, because it's not just you no more. You got dependents and people that you got to take care of and set up for. So a lot of things that you did as a youngster, you got to put that to the side. A lot of times you eat that, you know. I see the young boys all the time at the stores and this, and dudes be like, oh man, them young boys, don't even say nothing to them, man. This and that. 9 times out of 10, if you see about 8 or 9 young boys in front of the store and you going in as an OG, they want to just see what you gonna do. You understand? I go into the store, I see the young boys. I say, "What's good, fellas? Y'all all right?" And they'll look, and 9 times out of 10, maybe 1 time, 2 times, you get somebody that be on some bullshit. But most of the time, they be like, "Yo, we all right, OG. You good? I'm good." They just want to know that. I be like, "Yo, y'all all right? Y'all good out here? Yeah, we good, OG. Keep your eyes open." And I keep it moving. Boom. Let them know. That's all. I don't beat them in the head because ultimately they're gonna do what they do. You understand that? As growing up as a man, you're gonna do what you do. It's just that when we was growing up, because we didn't have all that. Like, I was taught, my father, and it taught me, like, if somebody older than you tells you something, even if you don't like it, respect it. You don't gotta say nothing behind it. Even if you don't use it, just respect it, because you may use it one day, or maybe you don't. But just respect it as for them getting to that age where you want to be. You understand? So they 60, 50 years old, and they telling you something, you 20, 30, you thinking it's bullshit, but they got to that age. Get to that age. You understand? That's why when I see the young boys, I speak to them and I tell them, and I keep it moving, because ultimately you're gonna do what you do.
Word. So mentioning like going overseas, what's the hip hop scene like overseas compared to the United States?
Well, it's they as far as my era of it, they respect it. They bring their kids to learn it and love it. But as I'm seeing with this age of social media, with the young boys, it's like it is over here. They're over there. They starting to shoot and kill each other and do all types of stuff too, because they emulating what they see over here, and they thinking, well, that's what they doing over here. So shoot, we might as well do the same.
So they thinking that's hip hop.
They thinking that's hip hop. And like I said, you just got to go through it to change. Every now and then you see a budding flower out of the weeds with the young boys. I see every now and then you see a budding flower grow out of weeds.
All right, one more time, let people know, your social media handles, where they can check out the music, and things like that.
Well, Sadat X, I think it's Sadat_Dottie. Instagram always, somehow the community always feels that they have to play with my page for whatever reason. And I've requested on Instagram, like, since they keep playing with my page, I've had a post like, whoever this Instagram community is, I request to sit down, because obviously my views and your views are not the same, but why are your views better than my views? Right. You understand? Like, let's come to a medium. Y'all feel strongly on this way. I feel strongly on this way. Like, why are my views wrong, community? Like, show me why my views are wrong. Show me why you feel that this. I feel when, as a heterosexual man, when I can't get my points across, that's discriminatory against me.
Yeah, that's very
like,
true.
As a heterosexual man, woman, child, why is that wrong? Like, why is my views wrong? The way y'all pushing it, 30 years, y'all want to have a single sex community where they just make babies out of test tubes and everybody's the same sex and it don't matter no more.
Right.
Like, why are my views always put down on the community? So that's why I request a meeting with the IG community. I don't know who's the board of that, and I can only imagine, like, oh, what a colorful cast, but I would just like to meet these people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I gotta, speak on that as well, because I agree with you 100%. There's definitely an agenda being pushed.
Yeah.
That, I even seen they making up new terms like toxic masculine behavior. You got the alphabet groups out there. Now you can't be yourself anymore. Now you kind of gotta go with the flow and, oh, it's okay, all that type of stuff.
So when they can put it don't, when I got like 4 or 5 of the young girls and they twerking and half naked, that's the community don't say nothing about that.
Nothing
that's
at all.
Hey, put that on there. But then when I say something about this thing, oh, why is this like that? Then it's a problem. I've offended somebody. I'm
right.
Like, so that's
all you doing is talking.
All I'm doing is talking. Sometimes I've reposted something and they've suspended my account, but not where I reposted it from.
Right.
So I know that is some type of agenda or something that's going on. They're targeting select individuals. I'm not saying I'm big enough to be targeted, but they're doing something. I got something from them. They said if something happens again, my account will be shut down permanently. I'm like, damn, like, for real, Sadat X?
Right. And I'm trying to figure out, what did you say to get that kind of response.
One day I had 175,000 followers, and then the next day they zapped me, and then I got to 20,000 followers, and it seemed like I just can't get past that.
Right,
I've been on 20,000 followers for the last 6 months.
Right, so like something like that, you got over 100,000 followers. That's like you got influence.
Yeah, and then they just zapped me. One day I went on it, and my account was just gone. It was just gone, and I reapplied, and they said they was gonna have some type of hearing to see if I get it back, and I just never got it back, and I had to make another account, and then I posted something, and they suspended me for a minute. Then they sent me some type of letter that said if I do something again, my account risks being suspended forever. And I'm like, damn, man, like I'm much of a thorn in the side to y'all like that. Like I see a whole bunch of stuff on there, man, that they let go, but then they want to keep playing with my account.
Right. It's like you said, it's okay to be naked up there, twerking, doing whatever, because you see all types of explicit.
It's okay when we beating each other up on the gram and when we shooting at each other. But when some brothers get together and we be like, nah, we don't like that. Oh, now that offends this person or this person. Well, how about that offends me, man? So, it is what it is.
Right, but I guess, they got more people.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Mm-hmm.
Word. But I definitely want to thank you for taking the time to sit down with me.
No problem.
Definitely, I consider you a hero in hip hop. You always stood on the right side, of righteousness, and I definitely appreciate that. And me and my little brother, we definitely looked up to you.
Appreciate
growing up. We always followed your career. Even all of the underground things you done, all of the people you work with. It's just good to see somebody like yourself to maintain through all the transitions in rap.
Yes.
Because you started in a time where, it was traditional hip hop, where it was, we followed the 5 core elements and then expanded the 9 elements. But somewhere along the line, people lost track of those elements.
Yeah.
And now it's all over the place where people are just doing all types of madness, and it's like the children are watching.
Yeah. Definitely. They're watching all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely disturbing for me to see. So it's always good to see, certain artists that, maintain and stood, still, for what was right.
Definitely, I appreciate it. Like I said, I just stood for what for my truths. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Like people stand for their truths. I stood for my truths. It seemed like a lot of people had the same truths as me. I appreciate that. Like I said, I learned from the OGs. I'm a direct descendant of the Grandmaster Cash. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
I got books of his rhymes that I wrote down for no reason at all, just because I wanted to have them in a book and to look at them and when I heard the tape, be able to rhyme the same thing that he's saying. So like I'm from that times.
Right. Yeah, that's dope. Coming from Grandmaster Cash, that's another person I look up to.
Oh yeah.
I definitely look up to Brand Nubian, Grand Poobah. Like, it's just sitting here with you right now, it's like a dream come true for me. So I definitely appreciate that.
No question.
My brother was definitely excited for me, because we really would sit down and like study, what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like the track Move On, like that's a real deep track. You speak on a lot of different issues, like even back then you talk about population control, keep your welfare up.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you were saying real stuff, and that kind of like helped mold us to the people that we became today.
And it's manifested itself out today.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, word. So thanks again, man. And we wish you the best, with everything that you do.
Appreciate it, man. And it's glad, appreciate you for giving me a platform to express what I express. And like I said, everybody, Sadat X, follow me. You know what I'm saying? It's me answering on my platforms, and stay with me as long as they keep me up. They might shut me down, so stay with me.
Word.
All right, man. And y'all better be circling the block for Circle the Block Radio if you know what's good, nigga. Know what I mean?
I appreciate
Shout out
it.
my man Darrell and Q.
No doubt.